Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I am your host, Willie Bragg, and John Fetterman is on my mind because he's further proof that the two-party system has failed the left. Yeah, I mean, as I said before many times, Republicans are not just the only obstacle to the left. The Democratic Party also is an obstacle to the left, and John Fetterman is further illustration. Now, I remember I was having a discussion with a old college buddy of mine earlier this afternoon, and what I had to say about the whole letdown business. Now, to basically to touch back to what I was saying, yeah, I was let down with Bernie Sanders. If he I had to acknowledge that he became a disappointment. And I said before, I've been longer on that Bernie cult than anybody probably out there. Um, I don't believe he was there to sheep herd us all back into the Democratic Party because what would be the point? However, in his effort to try to change the Democratic Party, he did prove that it can't be changed. Maybe that's not the message he want to ultimately tell his supporters. It's just that we all need to realize, and deep down, Bernie Sanders know that the Democratic Party is a letdown. He knows it is, and so I gave a lot of hope to Bernie Sanders for many years. And he, I'm not going to talk too much about Bernie Sanders, but except that I have to touch upon that because he is an important person in this whole scenario here, in relation to John Fetterman. Another person that was also a disappointment, again, I'm going to mention her, Tulsi Gabbard, former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. Now, in her case, I had decided recently that she was the ultimate grifter. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton basically had their eye on Tulsi Gabbard to groom her to be a successor to Obama and to be a successor to Clinton. When she got elected in 2012, she had all the makings that they want, all identity politics and everything. Look, I was very sympathetic to Tulsi Gabbard when she talked very leftist in her rhetoric. When she was talking about advocating the release of Julian Assange and Ed Snowden and questioning aspects of our military industrial complex. Once upon a time, she actually talked the talk that was basically, in some ways, may have been, strangely enough, to the left of Bernie Sanders on foreign policy, while certainly not as quite as far left on domestic. So, I mean, I was kind of impressed with Tulsi Gabbard until she started grifting toward the right. And I don't know where the fuck she is in this day and age. I really don't. The only thing I know about Tulsi Gabbard is every time I see her, I I have to concede that I still need to take a cold shower. But but that's about as much as I could say about her right now. In regard, she ended up being a disappointment. And speaking of disappointments, I mean, it's not just Bernie Sanders. It's not just a Tulsi Gabbard. There are many others as well. I mean, notable was AOC. You talk about a disappointment, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. Now, just like Tulsi Gabbard, I have to take a cold shower after looking at her. But she turned out to be a disappointment with two favors, deep platforming over, Medicare for all, which was supposed to be one of her major priorities. And then let's not forget the one of the, well, we know that Mitch McConnell is a turtle, so he's one reptile in the U.S. Senate. The other reptile is Elizabeth Warren, except instead of a turtle, she's a snake. But the thing about it is, she also was talking very lefty progressive talk too, and she also turned her back, and in multiple ways you can imagine. First, by not endorsing Bernie Sanders in 2016, and then being involved in the rigging by staying in a primary when she should have dropped her ass out in Massachusetts so Bernie Sanders could win Massachusetts, and it didn't happen. She made it sure that Joe Biden was going to win that primary race 2020 in Massachusetts. So as far as I'm concerned, Elizabeth Warren is a snake, and the hell with her too. But my point is this: so many times there's been like Democrats and Democrat adjacent independents that want to give you the false notion that maybe this time that the Democratic Party can be reformed. That is the message that they try to convey, and it's a message that many folks keep falling for. And I fell for it quite a few times, and this is why I'm doing this video, because I'm letting you know that I'm not falling for it again. There will, it's not ever going to happen. I'm never going to be failed again. So, and now John Fetterman, who is now a U.S. Senator. Now, he did his thing, and it was kind of like, well, gee, I wear a hoodie, I wear basketball shorts, I'm the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, I am talking about labor law reform and raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I'm talking about Medicare for all. He's talking all the good talk and good talking points you can imagine. But once he gets elected as a U.S. Senator, I don't know if he's just a sellout or his brain is melting from the stroke, but again, he's also another letdown. And that's my point right there. We keep getting screwed over. And honestly, I didn't expect perfection also from John Fetterman. I never even expected perfection from Bernie Sanders, even when I was like all about Bernie Sanders. But what I expect is to fight for the things that we need, when it comes to economic democracy at the workplace, when it comes to income inequality, when it comes to healthcare, all this very important. Foreign policy, a non-aggressive foreign policy. We can find an alternative to war, to pursue peace first, and actually pursue peace only. Because I am so tired of politicians' go-to is to go and to rattle saber and everything. Well, look what's been going on for the past 2 years. About 2 years between Russia and Ukraine. And then the shit that's going on in Israel since October 7th, and now with what's going on in the Red Sea with the Hutus and the Americans and other allies, basically trying to assert themselves in an area of the world they really don't belong, and somehow the United States believe it belongs everywhere out in the world, and it's just ridiculous and all that. So. My point is, we're all going to be disappointed in everything. So, first, I'm going to give you all maybe just a slight little comedic take on John Fetterman. There's a streamer named Jacqueline Glenn, and she did a video. Basically, making fun of a right-wing person who's simping for Donald Trump. And almost, I know it's a stretch to say he turned Republican, but John Fetterman betrayed the left. So, I think it's nice to go ahead and do some fun making before I get to more of the meat and potatoes about John Fetterman. And this is basically the video is called I'm going to tell you just a snippet. It's called Donald Trump's Dumbest Fan from Jacqueline Glenn. This is from 2016. So I will go ahead and play it, and I'll let y'all laugh about it, and then we'll go on to the next.
But I think I might have found somebody that loves him just a little bit more.
Let's look at the fucking presidential race in a serious light. The Americans are not respected like they used to be. Donald Trump will bring that back times fucking 10.
The Americans.
The Americans.
Those Americans times fucking 10. So this guy is a huge Donald Trump fan. I pulled these clips from 4 different videos on his channel, one of which I think was titled Donald Trump is a God. But he drives around in his car and rants about how awesome Donald Trump is and how everyone else pretty much sucks. But don't worry, even though he's driving around in his car, he doesn't have road rage or temper issues or, do anything that might distract him. He's a very good, kind, and considerate driver.
Put a turn signal on fuck stain. Piece of shit.
Isn't that basically John Fetterman, folks? Tell me if that's not John Fetterman there.
Okay, maybe not, but he's not always an angry guy. He's got a funny, happy side. It's not at all creepy.
Oh, God! Y'all motherfuckers hate Donald Trump because the motherfucker's a straight up beast.
Yeah, that's why people don't like Trump, is because he's just a straight up beast. But that's okay. This guy, he knows politics really well, so his endorsement of Trump is obviously significant.
I tell you what, I don't know much about politics, Donald. I don't really think you do either, but I'm gonna tell you something.
Just kidding. He literally just said, I don't know much about politics, and then followed it with, but I don't think Trump does either. Okay, that, might be something important for being the president, but maybe not, maybe that's not a prerequisite.
I'd make a hell of a goddamn running mate to be vice president. Think about it. Me and you, Trump and Martin.
Trump and Martin. Doesn't that sound fun? This guy is pretty desperate for Donald Trump's attention. I just wanna He mentions being vice president so many times throughout so many of his videos. It's clearly, his little dream.
Tell you what, Trump and Martin. I want to be the vice president. Trump, listen, I will do anything to be the vice president.
Please, Donald Trump, I will do anything. All I want to do is be vice president to Donald Trump and we'll beat everyone's fucking ass.
Many of these other fucking countries out there want to fuck with us. We're going to give them lead. We wouldn't even be bodyguards. I'd be our fucking bodyguard. Think about it.
Please, I will do anything. I will literally do anything to be your vice president. I will suck you.
So anyway, vote for Trump.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I wanted to go and share this because I thought that was kind of funny. So, am I correct? Isn't this guy just like a dead ringer for Donald Trump? And this guy a dead ringer for John Fetterman? It's like John Fetterman turned right wing. That's what it kind of reminds me of. So now, all levity aside, we got to go back in time. A little bit further, closer to the present than that video that goes back to the year 2016. We need to go back to the year 2022. And this is when I first heard of John Fetterman. I heard it through a college buddy of mine told me, oh, turn it on Fox News, turn it on Fox News. Take a look at this guy on Fox News. I'm like, I don't like Fox News. I looked on Fox News, and there was an interview with John Fetterman, and he said, doesn't that guy look like that guy in that video with Jekyll and Glenn? I was like, oh my God, yeah, he's a dead ringer for it. Then a few months later, I saw this on Secular Talk before Kyle, before he dyed his hair, and he did a video on John Fetterman. And I think it's actually important because it's actually relevant to what we're talking about here, to the ultimate letdown that we've all had right now when it comes to John Fetterman. So listen to what Kyle says and what's in the video, and I'll comment just shortly thereafter. Give me a moment here.
Money backing. He's got a super PAC. Connor Lamb is getting desperate. Fetterman's up by a lot. And so now he's going dirty. He's doing dirty politics. So his super PAC runs an ad on Fetterman where they attempt to smear him. Now you're going to see how they attempt to smear him. Hilarious. Let me show you the ad and then I'll react.
Who can Democrats trust in the race for Senate? Connor Lamb's a former prosecutor and Marine. John Fetterman's a self-described Democratic socialist. Lamb stood up to Republicans to protect Social Security. Fetterman's been called a silver spoon socialist. Lamb won 3 tough races against Trump Republicans. Republicans think they'd crush socialist Fetterman. With all that's at stake, Fetterman's a risk we can't afford. Penn Progress is responsible for the content of this ad.
I'm not some sort of extremist like a democratic socialist. Fetterman's a self-described democratic socialist and a silver spoon socialist. Thank you for the ad that you're running back in 19.
And that's correct. It sounds like an ad from 1993. Speaking as somebody who's 54 years old, as of the live stream right now as we speak, who's going to turn 55 in 2 months. So that's my little spin to each and every one of you to help maintain this channel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because we're getting close to 1,000 at this point. So, you know, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe to this channel. It's been a long haul. That's my little tiny little request off, just off the record right now. So I'll get back to what I was saying. Yes. Yeah, it's a 1993 style Rush Limbaugh talking points. And that's what Democrats do when they punch left. When they punch left, they manage to end up sounding kind of like a slightly softer form of the kind of smearing of a character that was engaged in by the people like the late Rush Limbaugh. What I like to call 1993 Rush Limbaugh talking points. And you saw that commercial for what it was. It was essentially that, a 1993 style Rush Limbaugh talking points. And I get such an allergic reaction. I get so fucking triggered when I hear people talk, in such terms. But the point is, democratic socialism, like, oh my God, he wants to raise the minimum wage. Back then, I guess it was $15 an hour. Be nice to see it happen, but it needs to be $25 an hour. That's my Willie Bragg take on this January 14 live streaming. But suffice to say, oh my God, he wants to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. He wants to restore union rights. Oh my God, he believes everybody ought to be, the United States ought to be like a normal country and provide basic free medical care to the entire population. Oh, what a terrible person he was. What makes him terrible is sorry about my phone. What makes him terrible is that he turned his back on the left. But you see, the thing about it is that in this day and age, if you're a Democrat, you're not really all that far left. But if you take a turn to the right, you're commended for punching left. You're commended for punching left against a small group of the Democratic Party that doesn't have any power to begin with. And it's irritating. And then I get told, oh, you got to support the Democrats. You don't want those MAGA Republicans winning. Well, look what happened under Biden. Under Biden, we have a Bush-Cheney style warmongering going on right now in the Middle East. Remember when many progressives and liberals and lefties were thinking, well, what George W. Bush is doing is terrible. Well, I thought it was terrible then. I don't care what party a president belongs to. It's terrible when a Democrat's doing it too. It's called being consistent. And I like to be consistent. But, you had compulsive contrarianism. And that's a term I heard from Shoe on Head a couple of years ago. She came up with the term compulsive contrarianism. Hi, Shoe. How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. All right. So anyway, yes, I bought a Shoe on Head plushie a couple of years ago. I was like, I gotta have one. But anyway, let me finish here. Point is that I'm just, this is what the Democrats do. They punch left. The Republicans punch at the Democrats, and the Democrats respond by punching left. And this is, this is where we're at here in America today in the year 2024. But what I'm also going to do right now is I'm going to play a video from Breaking Points that they have a discussion about John Fetterman's turn to the right. So let's go ahead and I'll play that, and I will also comment. Yeah, let's see. Hey, give me a second here. Okay. All right. And we'll play it and I'll comment.
So let's talk a little bit about our friend, Senator John Fetterman.
Your friend.
What? Is not my friend anymore.
Yeah.
So put this up on the screen. Senator Fetterman, who has become very aggressively pro-Israel, like one of the most pro-Israel members of the Senate, just gave an interview in which he also broke with the left on immigration. And he told NBC News, quote unquote, I am not a progressive. Really? It's very interesting because that is not.
And when somebody says they're not a progressive, that person who says they're not a progressive will also not get my support. In fact, if anything, if you're not a progressive, fuck off. That's what I have to say to John Fetterman.
Not at all what you've been saying for the entirety of your political career since you burst on the scene in Pennsylvania, where you wrapped yourself when it was convenient in Bernie Sanders and endorsed him in 2016 and called yourself, progressive routinely, especially when you're asking for money. I'll give you some of those examples in a moment. But even on the immigration piece, this is a total 180 from the way that he campaigned, and noteworthy because his own wife is actually an undocumented immigrant from Brazil. Here's one of the campaign ads that he ran when he was sounding a very different note on the topic. Take a listen.
I'm proud of my wife Giselle's origin story, and I'm so grateful for the sacrifices that her mother made all those years ago to come to this country looking for a better life. Because if they didn't, I wouldn't have the incredible family that I have now and the partner that I have in Giselle. The Statue of Liberty says, send us your poor huddled masses. And as long as we remain true to that original sentiment, America will continue to grow and prosper because immigration makes America America. We diminish ourselves and are never more un-American when we eliminate citizenship for those that just simply want to contribute and be a part of our great country.
So, like I said, very different from the tone he is striking now on immigration. And this is all, of course, in the context of this potential aid bill, which absurdly ties together Israel, Ukraine, and tougher border enforcement policies. Fetterman signaling to NBC News that he's very open even to the toughest of those increased enforcement border policies, which is really different from the way he campaigned and what he said in the past on this issue.
Yeah, well, we especially have to.
And of course, there will be a lot of Democrats who have their hearts in the right places, but their heads up their asses saying, but you still got to support the Democrats when they break your promise all the time. They break their promises. Look at fucking Joe Biden. Joe Biden promised we were going to have a public option. He's not doing a goddamn thing to fight for a public option. He's doing nothing. I mean, in some ways, Obama did more with that shitty healthcare plan than Joe Biden after seeing it get savage for the past previous 4 years under Trump. Yeah, I mean, he's not doing a damn thing to go and fight for a public option, which the public option doesn't go far enough. But what is John Fetterman doing? He's also not doing anything to fight for Medicare for all. I don't hear AOC talk about Medicare for all anymore. Bernie Sanders may give some lip service, but we all expected that from Bernie Sanders. So he figures he could get away with it because that's what we have always known about Bernie. But here we are, again. Another charlatan misleading us by the name of John Fetterman.
To highlight, and this is part of why I get annoyed about the conflation of immigrant and we don't apply the proper rhetoric here. She was an illegal immigrant. Now, I guess she was brought here by her mother whenever she was a child, but is a direct recipient of an amnesty policy from the Bush administration, gaining her green card in 2004, becoming a U.S. citizen eventually in 2009. So that.
Oh, and about the immigration thing, and I need to go and say this. It doesn't matter who's the president, doesn't matter what the makeup of the Congress is, they all do the same thing, especially when you hear from Republicans, well, we're going to do something about that border. And the Republican, the rank and file believe that Republicans are doing something about that border. Well, there is something that can be done about that border. And you could get rid of ICE, for example, because you got customs. That's all you need with customs. I mean, there's no need to go and have these horrific border policies that we have here. We don't have a border between Canada and the United States. We don't need to have a border between United States and Mexico. I'm not saying the United States needs to cease being the United States and all that. That's not what I'm saying. And of course, you got customs that takes care of this sort of thing. And if you really want to go and put a stop to illegal immigration that really was concerning y'all, here's the way you go about it. United States, stop fucking with the countries in Latin America. Stop fucking with these people. Stop propping up people like Javier Milei in Argentina, and stop doing things like trying to overthrow Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. There are things that you can do, United States. Stop fucking with the people in Latin America. Stop doing these sort of things, and maybe there won't be a border crisis. But what you have with people, they just want to go and do the right-wing bullying of Latin America and say, well, you better stay in your place. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So, but John Fetterman, as I said, is a total disappointment. So, what I'm also going to do, I don't know who Fred Jelly Beans is on Twitter, but I don't know what side of the fence he's on politically, but it's a funny video. I just want to kind of conclude with this funny video that's on Twitter that I saw. So let's go ahead and do that over here. Give me a moment, and I will go ahead and show y'all that video right now. Okay, come on. Okay.
You do have natural talent, Uncle Fester. You do have natural talent, Uncle Fester. You do have natural talent, Uncle Fester.
Yeah, that was basically Morticia Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez playing Morticia Adams, and that was obviously John Fetterman playing Fester, Uncle Fester. And how accurate. Now, the only positive thing I'll say about it is with regard to Morticia Adams being played by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is, well, she's a disappointment politically, AOC, but she makes quite a nice looking Morticia Adams. So much so that I'm going to have to take a cold shower just looking at her. So, yeah. So, but anyway, my point is this: that you got the situation where you have another Democrat letting you down. We can't afford health care for all. We can't afford jobs program. We can't afford free college. We can't afford these things. But you know what? We can go and prop up a country right now, halfway around the world. That's South Africa is actually wanting to see justice in regard to what's going on in Gaza because of the apartheid state of Israel, something that the people of South Africa are familiar with, and you know, and only in this sense that it might be worse what's going on in Gaza, in the sense that this systematic blowing up of infrastructure. I don't know if they actually done anything to this level in South Africa. What was done in South Africa was evil, and what was done against Nelson Mandela was, you know, putting him in prison for 27 years. I mean, and South Africa was definitely an evil government. This system was evil in South Africa under apartheid. But this, even the Israeli state, some of the terrible things they have done over the years against the Palestinians pale in comparison to what's being done right now. This is genocide. And what John Fetterman think that's okay? I mean, you know, he makes speeches. This human thumb whose brain is melting makes speeches, and you know, about the evils of Hamas. Now, I don't like Hamas. I made that clear. No, it's not. Well, do you condemn Hamas? I mean, no. I just want to make it clear that I don't like fundamentalist groups. I don't care if they're what religion. I don't care what country they're from. I don't like fundamentalists. I don't like fundamentalist movements. Having that said, I also don't like the fact that Israel, you know, for every Israeli that dies, that they're going to go and kill 100 Palestinians in the Gaza. That's monstrous. It's evil, and you know, and Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal. He needs to be arrested, as far as I'm concerned, and all that. And you know, you have some people who are supposedly progressive sitting there defending this shit. You know, no, I don't want to be connected with John Fetterman. This is what he's going to be about. And I that's basically the crux of what I want to discuss right here, because what's happening is, as it says, an act of evil. So I just wanted to get that out of my chest right now. So let's see, what else can I say at this point? Well, looks like on Tuesday night, I'm making an announcement. On Tuesday night, Jimi Sunderland and myself will be doing a special Bragland show of the Iowa caucus. So we'll be reporting on that and providing some we'll be providing some insights on the Iowa caucus and what it means in relations to the 2024 election. Yeah, we're not part of the duopoly, but we do have to report on the duopoly, because whether we like it or not, the duopoly sort of still affects policies, which is why we criticize the duopoly too, when you think about it. If you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any ways you disagree with what I have to say. And before I do that, I would be remiss if I ignored everybody here on the chat line, and I'm so sorry about that, folks. Desert Manta said hello. Yeah, well, she's greeting. You know, there's a greeting right there. I like Uncle Fester's man in the thumbnail, Willie. Yep. Uncle Fester's and Dr. Evil with a goatee. Best way to describe. Yeah, Dr. Evil meets Uncle Fester. You got John Fetterman. Yep. So let's see. Am I supporting Jill Stein? I'll put it this way, and I'm going to do a video on this fairly soon. Spoiler alert. I live in North Carolina, and I do not know who's going to be on the ballot in 2024. Right now, whether they're on the ballot or not, I, Willie Bragg, do endorse the following candidates for president, depending who has access to the North Carolina ballot. So as it stands right now, I endorse Cornel West. I still do. I also endorse Jill Stein. I also endorse Claudia Dela Cruz of the Party for Liberation and Socialism. And I also endorse William Stodden from the Socialist Party USA. Whoever's on the ballot, I'll have a good dilemma if all 4 of those candidates are on the ballot. But if one of them's on the ballot, whichever one ends up being on the ballot will get my support. And if it's more than one, I'll have to see where to go from there. So I had voted for Jill Stein before, and I am prepared to vote for her again if she's on the ballot. So we'll see. We'll see in that regard. And I'll state that later on in another video. Let's see. Patriot fan. I think some sports talks here, but let's see. Daniel Berry Sports and Highlights. How are you doing? How are you doing, Miguel? And there's Sherry. How are you doing, Sherry? I'm glad to see you here too. Right. And do we have anybody else here? We had Cowboy Kitty. How are you doing today? All right. Anybody else here on the chat line? Okay, just a couple of folks right now. Yeah, so as I said, Tuesday, 7:30. Unless something happens, something comes up, it looks like that Jimmy and I will be doing a live stream of Braglands. So let me just conclude by saying, if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any way you disagree with what I have to say. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, muckrakers of our time. So, and please subscribe to this channel, The Willie Bragg Show, and follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook as well. So you can follow me, and Rumble, even though I don't do it that often on Rumble. So, and so let me conclude by saying this to each and every one of you, free Julian Assange, free healthcare, free Julian Assange, free healthcare, free Palestine, and of course, free speech. So I'm Willie Bragg. I will talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.